all saw the skit which is done by Sanjoy. So there is something we can do also. Missionary is such one thing. We don't have to be preachers or pastors, but we can still be missionaries in this field. A pastor or a preacher just educates someone to get out of sin. Like they can speak anything. Even Jesus encourages us, and he do so a part of missionary work. When he sees a sick person, he doesn't tell that you did such and such wrong things in your life. You're a sinner. Why should I heal? He didn't tell like that, but he just was compassionate. He just put his feet on their shoes, and he was very compassionate for the sick and the downtrodden people. That's what brought them to follow Jesus. So that's the thing Jesus expects us to do. When Jesus saw a sick man, he didn't rebuke him or he didn't be hard on him. But when he saw a Pharisee, he just scolded him. That's the difference between how to speak to them who knows the truth and those who doesn't know the truth. We'll see such story that we all know China, right? A great nation in which Christianity is not at all allowed. In 1903, there was a couple who went to China from America to preach Christianity. They were very hard. In those days, the place is called Nanjing, China. Nanjing, China. They were Protestant missionaries, and they had a kid, Robert O. Wilson. He's a quite talented kid, and he was a surgeon. He used to look at his father preaching and all. And suddenly there was a big war between Japan and China. It's called as the war is called as the Nanking massacre, in which the Japanese massacred thousands of Chinese people. But what God worked is, God worked in a very different way. Like very few hundreds were converted to Christianity because of their parents, of the missionaries. But this Dr. Robert O. Wilson, what he did is, many ran back to America, but he didn't go to America when this war started. He was a surgeon and he educated in Harvard Medical School in 1930s. So what he did is, he considered to stay back in Nanjing, and there were many girls were raped, many were beaten and put to death, and many were tortured. And the Japanese did all, you know that how militant activity is like. They did everything. What he thought is, by observing his parents, his father used to tell the difference between how to preach to a non-believer and who was sick, and to who already knows Christ, and he didn't want to follow Christ in an opt way. So what he did is, I can't go and preach, I can't go and do missionary work, but I'll do one thing. In this massacre field, I'll show what Jesus showed while he was in there. So as a surgeon, he stayed back in Nanjing and he offered all medical services. When no one was ready, even the Chinese ran away from the Japanese because they were so powerful, Japanese government, and they massacred the whole village of Nanjing. He stayed back and everyone mocked at him. His friends mocked at him on the vessel while getting out from Nanjing. All his friends mocked at him. Why are you staying in Nanjing? And he was like, no, I can't be like my parents, but what I can do is, I can support them medically. That's what he thought, and he stayed back in Nanjing. After a few weeks passed, there was he got an Irish newspaper. The newspaper was like, the boat which went from China to America was being bombed by Japanese government. Everyone died, but he didn't die. After the surrendering of Japan, he used to maintain journals of everything, all the Japanese massacres. He used to maintain the journal, how they were killed, how they were brutally put to death. So what he did is, he didn't go and tell to a person who is in deathbed, like, accept Jesus as your personal savior before you die. He didn't do like that. He showed the compassionate of Jesus. So indirectly, what the Chinese people thought is, see, Dr. Robert's parents was preaching us for 10 years, 20 years about Christ's love. That struck them when Dr. Robert showed his compassion on their deathbed, just Chinese government, Chinese people. So Chinese people thought that okay, the son is living as his father thought. So that made a lot of Chinese people to be converted into Christians, and they stayed back. So he performed a lot of amputations, and in medical journal he writes that I delivered. He's being a surgeon. He delivered a baby. He used to deliver babies, do amputation, and minor procedures he used to do. And the survivors, they do wanted to stay back and work with Dr. Robert, and they around 5,000, 6,000 people got saved, even without Robert opening about Jesus. They were saved, and that's how missionary work was done by Dr. Robert, who was a surgeon in